Hello guys, Greg back for another video on the channel. It is all killer, no filler. Merry Christmas to all of you out there. It's Christmas Eve today. Thanks for all of your support throughout 2019. I know I'm not the most consistent with my output, but you guys always stick by me and I really do appreciate it. So if you follow my channel, you know I've got really wide ranging tastes. I love everything from the real cheapies up to some of the really expensive stuff. And I thought as the year's coming to a close, it's a good time to reflect, look back, and choose the 10 best fragrances that I've picked up this year, 2019. So all of the fragrances that appear in the video are amazing creations in my opinion. There's a bit of a theme in that a lot of these are by the same houses or the same perfumers. Obviously I'd like to have had a little bit more variety, but it's an honest video about what really impressed me this year. And it just so happens that there were only a few perfumers that really blew my mind in 2019. I sampled so many fragrances throughout the year that anything that makes a top 10 for the year must be something really exceptional to me. All of the fragrances in the video were purchased with my own money. In the 7 years I've been on YouTube, I've never asked anyone to send me anything free. I've actually received 3 bottles free in those 7 years, and I didn't request any of those and I didn't review them. In fact, I actively refuse the advances of any companies that want reviews or endorsements. I'm not frowning upon anyone in any shape or form that does that, not at all. I'm just saying it's not something I do. I'm just putting that out there. So onto the video. With the exception of the top 2, these aren't in any order of preference, but I'm still going to count them down from 10 to 1. So grab yourself a Christmas wine or a beer and join me in looking at some really great fragrances. So the first one that I want to talk about is from a perfumer that's got 4 fragrances on this list. Not all are from this brand. He's got several brands, but this is a perfume from the brand Stranger's Parfumery, and as you can see it's called Scotch Peat. Now the perfume on this one is Prin Lum Ross, and he's from Thailand, and as mentioned he's actually got 3 brands, and Stranger's is his more affordable mainstream type of brand. I guess that's what most people would say, but I'm not sure that these are any less adventurous than some from his other brands. Scotch Peat is a very green, earthy fragrance. It's very peaty, as in the smell of garden peat. It's very coniferous and also boozy. It's almost like the earth is fermenting and it's emanating a booziness from the earth. A very clever fragrance, one that I've really enjoyed this year. So that's the first one, Scotch Peat from Stranger's Parfumery. And the next one is another from the same perfumer, Prin Lum Ross. This one is from his recently discontinued but soon to be revamped range, Prin Parfum, and this one is called Ayatollah. At least I think that's how you pronounce it. And Ayatollah was a city in Siam between the 14th and 18th century, and that at that time it was one of the world's leading areas for trade and commerce. It was also one of the world's centres for the practice of Buddhism. And the fragrance is supposed to capture some of the smells of that era. So it's got notes like incense that you may have found in the Buddhist temples. It's got spices in here that would have been sort of travelling through what was a trade route at that time. And there's some great woods and floral accords in here. Frankincense and myrrh and ylang ylang are the 3 most prominent notes to my nose. It's a very unisex fragrance. I wouldn't call it masculine in any way, but I think it's a great unique scent for a guy that wants to be different and stand out a bit. And just to follow up what I mentioned about the brand being discontinued, the brand is going to be relaunched, I believe, in early 2020, and Ayatollah will be part of that brand. So if you can't get one of these original versions, I'm sure you'll be able to get a one from the new brand pretty soon. Number 8. So I bought around 9 perfumes from this indie house probably 6 months ago, and most of them have absolutely blown me away. The house is called Rogue Perfumery, and this one is called Dervish. And the first thing that struck me about this one is that it's got a very it's got a distinct similarity to Hermes Ambre Narguilé, but it's actually far more complex and a far better fragrance in my opinion. It's not quite as clean cut as Ambre Narguilé. There's a definite animalic element to this one. It's got some very indolic, maybe even you could say urinal jasmine in here. There's a soft vanilla, there's amber, but that's contrasted with that jasmine and some civet. There's also musk and leather in here. But it's an absolutely stunning fragrance. It's one of the best things I've tried for a very long time. Number 7. This one's from the brilliant perfumer Dmitry Bortnikov. And this one is called Musk Habib. And this is supposedly inspired by the MMA, the MMA fighter Habib Nurmagomedov. Done well to get that out. But this is a stunning mix of natural musk and real ambergris, and there's some very strong florals in here. But despite the natural notes in the fragrance, it's actually very wearable. There's cardamom and nutmeg in here, which kind of tame the fragrance down a little bit. There's also oak mosses, amber and vanilla, but it's all beautifully blended. It's a very artistic fragrance, but it's not unwearable or skanky at all. Hard to find, but if you could find that one, I would say buy it. It's a brilliant fragrance. Number 6, another one from the house of Prin Parfum. And in my opinion, this is the most wearable and probably what you'd call most mainstream from the range, although that's probably doing it a disservice. And this one is called Turkish Never. And when I heard about this one, I was kind of hoping that it would have a Turkish delight smell and feel to it, and it definitely does. And it's quite a hard thing to describe, but if any of you have ever eaten or smelt Turkish delight, you'll know that smell that I'm talking about. Now that sweet Turkish delight accord, it's mixed at the very top of the fragrance with a beautiful smooth chocolatey cocoa accord, and then it's followed by leather and incense and oud. It's very creative, very different, but it's also very beautiful and very wearable. And one spray of this will last you a long time. And as with Ayatoya, that one is discontinued, or the whole brand is, but it will be back very soon. Number 5, now this one really is a work of art. This is a perfume made by the perfumer Russian Adam in collaboration with the amazing YouTuber Nikhil. His channel is Exotic Scents, and this is from Arige Ladore, and it's called Koh-i-Noor. And this is possibly the most wearable Arige Ladore. I don't know if it's Arige Ladore or Ladore, but Arige Ladore we'll say. But it's probably the most wearable from that brand. It doesn't sacrifice any of the creativity or the beauty for being wearable, but it's just a little bit more tame than some of the others from the range. But on the first spray of this, you're immediately hit with a real blast of natural smelling musk, and also a blast of amazing florals. A Lang Lang and Champaca are what you'll pick up initially, but then you'll also get some jasmine coming through as well. And also tuberose as well, I detect in this one. But as it develops, there's a very creamy, beautiful sandalwood. I was expecting there to be more oud in this fragrance, because that's really Russian Adam's sort of area of expertise. But it isn't an oud fragrance in my opinion. It's woody, but not agar woody, if that makes sense. But there's a beautiful smokiness in the dry down. I think there's 30-year-old Indian oud in this fragrance, and that's probably that smokiness that comes through in the dry down. There's a ton of florals in here. It's a unisex fragrance. Definitely a guy or a lady could wear it. Only problem again with this one is extremely hard to find, but if you ever did manage to find it, don't hesitate, buy it. It's amazing. Number 4, so all credit goes to Dan from the Loft's YouTube channel for turning me on to this one. I met up with Dan back in May this year, along with Mr. Smelly and Raj, and as soon as Dan came over, we were sitting outside the pub, Dan came over, leant over, shook hands. I could smell his fragrance, and I asked him what it was, and it was this. And this is from... you can't really see much on here, but the brand is called Hakel's, and the fragrance is called Pegwell Bay. And if you follow the Wafts from the Loft channel, you'll have heard him talk about this a lot. And Hakel's is actually an independent store based in the southeast of England, and they make fragrances and artisanal products. But this is one of the best summer scents that I've ever smelled. It starts out very spicy and peppery. There's some bitter orange in there. There's a bit of mintiness, a bit of saltiness. But the main player in the fragrance is aniseed, which has been used to resemble the smell of fresh fennel growing on the salt marshes of Pegwell Bay, which is where the fragrance was created and the area where it's inspired by. I wore a lot of this fragrance in the summer, and I don't think I've ever had a fragrance that got more attention or more people asking me what it was. So that's Pegwell Bay. Number 3. The second fragrance from Prin Lum Ross's Stranger's Parfumery brand. This one is Cigar Rum Intense. I've also got Cigar Rum, which came out a few months before this one, which is fantastic, but this one is a different level. The inspiration for this scent is, I'm trying to remember exactly what it says. It's supposed to be a majestic, mature man drinking rum, smoking a cigar at sunset in the Caribbean, something like that. And that is how it smells. It smells of cigars and rum with dried fruits, a bit of leather, some amber. There's a hint of coffee in here. But it just oozes class and affluence, you know. And it's actually my favourite from that Stranger's Parfumery brand, Cigar Rum Intense. So 2 to go, and these are the 2 best fragrances that I've smelt for an awful long time. This one is just so creative, so amazing. Second perfume on this list from the indie house Rogue Perfumery, and this one is the one that most people will have heard of. It's called Mousse Amouage. This brand prides itself on not being dictated to by the guidelines of IFRA. Certainly in Europe there's certain notes that you're not able to use, but this brand still uses them. And if I was to characterise or describe this fragrance in one word, it would be green. It's an amazing green, foresty, herbal, earthy masterpiece. It's loaded with oak moss and many other herbal green notes. There's an aniseed element in here. There's some white florals. It's honestly one of the best things I've smelt for a very, very long time. It's a throwback to some of those, an homage almost to fragrances like Ralph Lauren Polo Green, but I'd go as far as to say it's the best of that genre that I've smelt, better than any of those that came before it. The perfumer on this one is Manuel Cross, and I hold him in the same regards as the likes of Prin Lum Ross and some of these other amazing, not so well known perfumers. Everything I've smelt from this brand has been superb. If you want to buy anything from this brand, the only place I believe that you can find them is on Etsy. So if you just Google Etsy Rogue Perfumery, you'll find the house. Definitely try them out if you haven't. They're amazing creations. Number 1. So I don't know exactly how many fragrances I've smelt over the past 10 years or so since I've had this obsession, but it's in the tens of the thousands, and this one is one of the very best that I have ever smelt. It's another from the house of Arige Ladore. This is the amazing Ottoman Empire Part 2. Now, the original Ottoman Empire was from Arige Ladore's first collection, and it was so well received that the Russian Adam wanted to recreate it. Now, it is very difficult to recreate these fragrances because of the ingredients used, but I'm told that this is very true to the original, which unfortunately I never got the chance to try. I don't really know where to start with this one. The first thing when you spray this on, you're going to get a stunning natural rose note, like something you'd expect from a French perfume house in the real glory days of perfume. And then that rose is joined by white florals and citrus notes. There's a stunning sandalwood note in here. It's got musk, it's got leather, but above all it's got some mind-blowing oud notes in here, different takes on oud. And one spray of this fragrance would last you, well, it will last you until you next shower. Even if you're not going to shower for 3 days, you'll still smell this one. It's an absolute masterpiece, and it's fitting of being my best discovery of 2019. So there you go, guys. That is 10 amazing fragrances that I discovered this year, 2019. Thanks so much as always for watching. Please give a like and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And remember, you can purchase samples of over 600 fragrances, including most of these from my online store, which is fragrancesamplesuk.com. If your country is not available at checkout, you can email us at info@fragrancesamplesuk.com and we can sort orders out for you that way. Also, please follow us on Instagram. There's a post on there every single day, and our Instagram page is Fragrance Samples UK. So I hope you and all your families have a fantastic Christmas. Happy New Year as well. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in 2020. Cheers.